All right, I've got a few questions about this 656, enter a positive number, and I want to go over how we might do that. It says you're going to write a function called retrieve positive number, and obviously that's a two-part thing. One, we're going to call it up, so we're going to write that. And it says over here, it says this has no parameters, so we just empty parentheses. And then later, we might change that if it needs a parent or an equals or something in that statement, but I want to have that there, knowing it's going to be the final result. Above, we're going to define what that is. So we type this long name that they give us, and empty parentheses, and the magic symbol, which is the colon, and after the colon, it's going to automatically indent, and everything in here is going to be in that block, meaning when we call that function, all the stuff is going to run. This needs 3 main possibilities. So it's telling us you're going to ask the user for a positive number. And we're going to kind of assume this user is either not getting it or they're intentionally messing with us, because we got to be ready for what if they enter the wrong stuff. If they enter something that's not a number at all, we got to tell them that. If they enter something that is a number but it's not a positive number, we're going to say, hey, that's negative or that's 0, and we want to, in either case, ask them again. So this is a while loop. A while is going to infinitely go, if I say while true, until we get kicked out of it. And in previous versions of things like this, we've used the word break to kick us out of it, but in this one we're not. Instead, as they tell us down here, we're going to use return. Return is like break, but better, because it kicks us out and gives us a answer that it'll spit back at the line of code that called it. So we want to say we got 3 possibilities. One is if it's fine. 2 is if it's not a number. And 3 is if it's not positive. And these are not equal. These are not like on the same line if-else type things, because in order to test whether it's positive, we got to say, hey, is it greater than or equal to 0 or something like that. And that means we have to have a number to work with. If we get an input from the user where they type, you know, cheese or SpongeBob or something that's not a number at all, we have to handle that error so that the program doesn't crash before we even get to that other point. So the way we're going to do that is the try and accept thing. Try and accept are keywords where you try a couple lines of code, and if it works, great. If not, they go to that accept block, and as they tell us in the hint over here, we're going to say value error as the type of error we're looking for, meaning that if they put in something that can't be treated as a number, we want to handle it. So I'm going to switch these. And I'm going to indent these to show that it's a different thing. So if it's not a number, we're going to say that's not a number. I don't know. If it's not positive, I'm going to actually check for that first inside of here, and then we can just say else for if it's good. We'll get an input, we'll call it x equals input, enter a positive number, and that could be an integer, but it could be something else. They might put 5.987 72 whatever, so let's call that a float, which is the type that could hold decimals. And if x is less than or equal to 0, then we're going to say, hey, that's not good. And I'm going to move this outside of that comment. Then if it's fine, if it didn't trigger that, and it also didn't trigger this, then we finally get something that works. And that's going to say, we'll print good job, and we will kick us out of the loop by saying return x. So this thing is going to get that as an answer, like, hey, we can print it or whatever later. So let's try that. We need to try each of the three possibilities. One is if they put something that's negative or 0. Another is if they put something that's not a number. And another is if they put something that is both positive and a number, and it says good, and it stopped asking again. So that's what we needed. That was a tough one because it's got multiple levels of multiple things going on, and we had to indent one multiple times, more than we have before, but that's how it goes.